If you start at the absolute bottom, society usually makes a very quick, very harsh calculation about your future, that you are going to stay exactly where you are. Arav began his life with an empty ledger. He had zero financial capital, zero inherent advantages to lean on, and absolutely no safety net to catch him if he fell. Every morning, he was awake at 4 a.m., stepping out into the freezing air with entirely empty pockets, while the rest of his village slept. To survive, he migrated to the city and sold his physical labor. He poured tea, hauled heavy luggage for strangers, and still went to sleep hungry. And while he worked, the people around him provided a constant soundtrack of doubt, repeatedly telling him he was never going to amount to anything. When you combine severe poverty with endless negative reinforcement, you create a vacuum. It acts like a gravitational pull, making escape mathematically improbable for anyone who doesn't have serious leverage. But Arav possessed one intangible asset. In Hindi, they call it Zid, a fierce, almost irrational stubbornness to become something more than his circumstances. The shift began when he stumbled across an old, discarded mobile phone. Instead of using the device for entertainment, he used it as an access point. He spent his nights on low-bandwidth tutorials, learning the basics of mobile-first video editing and digital service skills that required more patience than processing power. That phone served as a threshold. It was the tool that allowed him to stop trading his finite physical energy for pennies and start building a small, scalable presence in the digital economy. Acquiring those skills was expensive in time. He sat in front of that small screen for 3 to 4 hours every single day, never breaking his routine. An entire year passed under this grueling schedule, and at the end of those 12 months, his financial return was exactly zero. He had no money to show for it, and no recognition. This chart shows the relationship between time spent and results achieved. You expect progress to happen in a straight line, but the actual results curve stays completely flat at the beginning. That massive gap in between is the valley of disappointment. This is exactly when external pressure hits its peak. People openly laughed at Arav, mocking the idea that staring at a broken phone was going to generate wealth. Arav was calculating his future in years, even as his bank balance remained stuck at zero. He was building the technical proficiency required to eventually exit the manual labor market. The Valley of Disappointment operates as a brutal societal filter. It is the exact mathematical zone where 99% of people quit simply because they mistake invisible foundational progress for complete failure. Then came year 2. Arav finally landed his very first online gig. The payout was just 500 rupees. To the people around him, working for months to earn 500 rupees was pathetic. But to Arav, it was undeniable proof of concept. As his skills matured and he upgraded his hardware, his returns began to compound. That 500 quickly turned into 5,000. Then it jumped to 50,000. The people who spent a year mocking him suddenly stopped laughing and started asking for his advice. Compounding effort does not produce linear results. It creates an exponential curve, taking years of silent, tedious struggle and converting it into sudden, explosive growth. By year 3, that abstract effort had manifested into hard, physical evidence. Arav bought his own house, his own bike, and achieved a level of financial stability that was previously alien to his village. He eventually traveled back to his home, standing in the exact same physical spot where he was previously told he would fail. The victory wasn't just about the money. It was how the entire village shifted the social dynamic around him. The same people who once dismissed him now sought his approval. Arav attributed the change to a single factor. He wasn't inherently special. He simply refused to stop moving while the results were still invisible. Success is influenced by your starting conditions, but it is not entirely dictated by them. Over a long enough timeline, the persistence of daily, incremental choices can eventually overcome the probability of failure. The baseline at the bottom is brutal, but taking one step forward every single day is the only way to eventually outpace those circumstances. If this look at the math of grit was useful to you, like the video and subscribe for more real-life stories.